KNIME version 5.4.1 just being released, I want to showcase a new feature that is part of the Gen AI extension. It now supports JSON Mode. Let's speed build a workflow that leverages this new feature. Start by adding a credentials widget node and open the configuration dialog. In the dialog, add in your API key for the provider of your choice as password. I'm not doing that because I'm using a locally hosted model via Ollama. Next, let's add an OpenAI authenticator node. In the configuration dialog, make sure that you select the credential that you've just created, and then under advanced settings you can also choose a different base URL in case that you want to use a large language model that is not OpenAI. In my case, I'm using the base URL of a locally hosted model via Ollama. The next node that we are going to add is the OpenAI chat model connector. In the configuration dialog, you can select what model you want to use. In my case, I've selected all models and can then choose from the models that are configured with Ollama. You can also adjust settings like the maximum response length in tokens and the temperature and much more under advanced settings. Now we are going to add first a table creator node, which is going to hold the initial conversation, and then a chat model prompter node. You will see that the table creator just has two empty columns of type string. One is role and one is message. Next up is the chat model prompter. In the configuration dialog, we can enter a system message. As you can see in the system message, I've also provided an example of the JSON schema. It is very important that either in the system message or in the new message in the box below, you mention that the model is supposed to respond in JSON. Otherwise, it doesn't work. If you tell a model to respond in JSON, it will always respond in JSON. If you provide an example of the JSON structure, it will try to adhere to the structure. However, it's not guaranteed that it will not hallucinate. Unfortunately, it is not yet possible to use the more advanced feature that was introduced by OpenAI in August, which is called structured outputs. By now, it is also supported by a wide range of other model providers, and it also works with Ollama. And this feature ensures that the specific schema that you can insert to your prompt is adhered to. I really hope that this feature will become available in the future for the KNIME Gen AI extension. But let's get back to the example for now. In the system message, I prepare the example of the schema, and in the new message, I then tell the model what I wanted to do. I wanted to tell 30 jokes about German-made cars. In the conversation settings, I then select the role column from the table creator node that we created earlier and the message column. So this is how the model will know how to respond. It is very important if you want to use JSON mode that you check that box at the very bottom. After that, you can exit the configuration dialog and click OK. Let's now add a couple of more nodes, a row splitter, then a string to JSON node, a JSON parse node, and an ungroup node. Now we can execute, and we will go through each of these nodes one by one. In the chat models prompter, you can see that we get a table with two rows. The first row by the human contains our initial message, where we request the model to tell us 30 jokes. The second row is the row that we are after. It's the AI response, and as you can see, it contains text that looks like JSON. In order for us to be able to convert this cell to JSON, because right now it's string, we use the row splitter node to split out the initial message, the first row, from the answer, the second row. The bottom port now contains the message with the JSON, and that one we send to the string to JSON node. With this next node, it's only important that we select the correct column, which is the message column. After we execute it, you can already see it at the bottom that the message column is now of type JSON. Yay, it's been converted correctly, which means that the model responded correctly. Now that we have a column of valid JSON, we can use JSON parse to extract a collection query. Collection query means that we are grabbing multiple items of objects that have the same structure. So in this case, it's these joke objects inside the overall jokes list. You can see that with the asterisks in the JSON parse. And it's important that we select that we want this output as a list. If you've done this correctly, you will see that all the pieces that will get extracted and put into a list are highlighted in blue. Now that we have extracted the JSON parse, it's actually really easy to move all the jokes that the model came up with for us into a table. We use the ungroup node and simply execute it. It automatically detects that the jokes column contains a list and will put every single item in that list into its own row. And that's it, we are done. Let's sum up some of the practical use cases for JSON mode. Let's start with extracting structured data from unstructured sources. Then there's function and tool calling, which I've explored in my agent videos. You can integrate APIs and make them interoperable, and you can do workflow routing. Some of these I've also explored in a different video and in an article on KNIME. That's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video and learned something, and I hope to see you next time.